This video will introduce you to library resources and databases that you can use to search for articles to inform research in French literature. There is a library guide for this class, which you can access by going to the WSU Library's homepage, libraries.wsu.edu, and clicking on Subject Guides. When the page opens, use the search box and type French 120. When the results appear, choose the French 120 LibGuide. All of the databases that we're going to explore in this video can be accessed from this guide. You can click on the tabs on the left side of the guide to get to the different sections of the guide. There is also a summary of the searches that we're going to be doing at this PDF for French 120 Library Search. While you are still choosing a book, you may want to get some preliminary information about the book you've chosen. You can access the library reference collections by clicking on the Reference Articles tab. From here, I'm going to choose the new Oxford Companion to Literature in French. When I click on that, this brings me into the library catalog. Once it locates my item in the catalog, I can click on the link under Access Options to locate my book in the Oxford Reference Library. I'm going to scroll down to the Search Within This Work box to try a search for Jean-Jacques Rousseau. My search found 23 entries, and these are sorted by relevance. So the first result should be the most relevant to my search, and this result also is of a substantial length, which I think should be helpful. These articles can be really useful for providing an introduction to the author and also for giving you some background information that can help inform your searches when you get to the journal article databases. So these articles offer a general introduction to the author and their works, but the article databases are going to explore very narrow themes and topics in relation to the works. So this is a good step to take to provide you with some foundational understanding about the author. These articles might give some biographical information, but will also touch on the author's works. Here we can find a little bit of information on Rousseau's work Émile, with a little bit of background information discussing the fact that it was written in 1762 and resulted in a condemnation of Rousseau for religious unorthodoxy by the Parlement de Paris. So this caused him to flee to Switzerland, and this already gives me a little bit of information to go on as I delve into the article databases. These articles will usually end with a bibliography, and you can check the bibliography to see if there are any books within it that might interest you. For example, I might copy the title of one of these, and I think I'm going to take The Early Life and Works of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, copy it, and then open up the library homepage again, libraries.wsu.edu, and do a search for that title. And here I can see that the library does have a copy of that title, so if I want to check that title out, I can simply use the Map It option here to see where that title is located in the stack. Using the Map It option, I can see that this book is located on the second floor of the Holland Library on stack 576, and then I even have a little map to show me exactly where that stack would be. We're going to go back to the library guide for a minute, and we're going to look at a resource under the Reference Articles tab called the Dictionary of Literary Biography. So if we click on that link, it'll open up the search box, and you can see that it defaults to a person, by, or about search. And so I'm going to search for Jean-Jacques Rousseau here. So my search found 28 results, 28 biographies, and these are sorted by relevance. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the first result. This is an article that has over 15,000 words, so a pretty detailed reference article on Jean-Jacques Rousseau from the Dictionary of Literary Biography. And these articles are several pages long. You can see the pages here, and I can also search within this document. So if I want to search for the work Émile, I can go ahead and do that. If we zoom out a little bit here, we can see the full pages. If I look at the hits, the pages that my search term hit on, I can see that pages 128, 29, 30, and 31 all deal with the work Émile. So I'm going to go ahead and start on page 128 and just take a look at what's there. These articles are several pages long, but they do provide a very good grounding in the author and the historical and social context in which they write. I can scroll through the pages here and continue reading about Rousseau's work, Émile. These articles always end with a bibliography, and of course you could copy any of these titles and paste them into Search It to see if we have access to these books. So we are going to shift gears a little bit and try a search for articles. So going back to the library homepage, libraries.wsu.edu, we can use Search It, the WSU Libraries catalog, to do an initial search. One strategy you can try is to type the name of the author and then type the title of the work in quotations. So you can add any additional terminology that you think might describe the topic that you want to search, or simply do a more general search to see what types of resources are available. So I might try searching for Rousseau and Émile, and then use the term education. On the left side, I have limiters, so here I can choose just to limit my search to articles, apply that filter. So Search It is basically an aggregated search. The results will include articles that are indexed in other library databases, such as Project Muse and the MLA International Bibliography. If I scroll through my results, there's a couple that jump out at me right away. I think this one here from the Universal Journal of Educational Research on Rousseau, Émile, and religious education. That jumps out. The other one that jumps out at me, let's see. This one here from the American Political Science Review, the illustrative education of Rousseau's Émile. I think both of those look pretty promising. But I'm going to go ahead and click on this result here. And then my link to the article will actually appear under Access Options. Okay, I know from trial and error that this first result was not very useful, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to the second one, the open access version through Unpaywall. So that opened up the PDF right away. So it's nice that this article begins with an abstract. This helps you determine if the article is going to be relevant for your own research. This article is really looking at the influence that Rousseau had on education, and it also is talking about other people who influenced Rousseau as well. In the conclusion, if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see that the author is discussing the impact of Émile on educators, so the impact that the work had on society. And I think for me, this article would be relevant to my research. If I go back a step, I just want to point out that you can use the Cite This Item feature to get an idea of what that MLA citation will look like, but you do want to always check it against your style guide, which is MLA style, to make sure that it actually matches the style guide, the format of the style guide. Okay, so if you feel like the articles that you found through Search It are enough, that's fine, but you can also go into the article databases tab here, and you'll see that there are 3 databases listed: the MLA, Project Muse, and JSTOR. I'm going to go into JSTOR and we're going to do a quick search there. Sometimes the most obvious searches can sometimes be the most fruitful, so I'm going to try a search here for Rousseau and Émile and reception, and I'm going to also use the word influence as my keyword. I'm going to limit to articles, and we're going to submit this search there. So we have a lot of results here. You could browse them. They're sorted by relevance. I'm going to actually click on this one here, A Resistance to Reading, Rousseau's Émile ou de l'Éducation from Yale French Studies. The title of the journal can often be really helpful as well to give you an idea of which discipline the article is being written from, which disciplinary perspective. So I think since this one is right on the money for literature, I'm going to actually take a look at that one. So this does not begin with an abstract. The other article that we looked at did, but we can still read through the article and see if it might be useful to us. I think what I like about this article right away is it's talking about the reception of the work, and we did want to get a sense of how the work was received in its historical time and the influence that it had. So for me, this article should be right on the money. It's really going to dig into that aspect of it. If you have any issues, if you're having trouble finding articles, feel free to email me. Sometimes these searches can be tricky, and depending on the work that you're studying, it might be a little trickier than others, and that's totally fine. It's totally fine to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. So good luck with your research, and don't hesitate to reach out if you need help.